day before he left, he was best man at his twin brother Jeremy's wedding.
We knew that was his intention, to get put into prison, because he wanted to confront the military face-on, and the only way of doing it was to end up, in his own words, to reside at their pleasure.
Like Ko Aung, James was also tortured by the regime.
If anyone stands up to them, then that is a challenge to their power and their authority. James was a white Westerner who stood up to their authority. He needed to be stamped on. Random beatings, white light on 24 hours a day, white noise, radio noise being played outside his cell 24 hours a day. Essentially all the techniques to break somebody's spirit and break someone's morale. Friends in Thailand sent him fresh fruit, and it was left out of his reach, but visible, rotting, until they gave it to him. Stupid little games which prison guards play, largely, and sometimes more serious.
A campaign in Britain secured James' release. This was the positive result of a group action. And that's why malevolent leaders fear and quash group power.
But if enough people say, no, this is wrong, then we can bring that regime, which is a totalitarian regime, we can bring it into line by humanitarian standards before too many of the local population have their fingers burned so heavily that they lose their fight.
Every day the papers are full of horrors around the globe. And what do the majority of us do? Nothing. Yet being a bystander is one of the most essential ingredients of maintaining a tyranny.
We're at Lancaster University to look at this very issue. Psychologist Dr. Mark Levine is getting to the heart of why we do or don't help others.
If you ask people whether they'd help, nearly everybody says, of course I would, because we don't want to be seen as not caring for other people. But actually all the research says that by and large people don't help. They turn away. If there's any reason for not looking, they won't look.
Mark Levine has chosen football to look at this problem. In Britain, football represents one of the most powerful ways in which people divide themselves into us and them. The team strips mark their differences. He's used these strong allegiances to see how the tribal instinct can affect our ability to help or to turn a blind eye to others in need.
We wanted to show that it's when people feel that they have some kind of relationship to a stranger that they'd be more likely to help them. And football is a really good domain for doing this kind of thing, because football fans feel powerful bonds to other football fans.
The contest. James well out. Cole, oh dear, oh, we can do without that. A little bit of trouble.
Dr. Levine.
Without that. A little bit of trouble.
Dr. Levine chose one of the most intense rivalries, that between Manchester United and Liverpool. It's explosive, both on and off the pitch.
The crowd have been warm in their rivalry and no more.
We took 4 secret cameras and a stuntman to the Lancaster campus to catch on film whether people will help a stranger in distress. All the unsuspecting test subjects will be Manchester United fans. The stuntman will fall in their path wearing either a Manchester United or a Liverpool strip. When will the fans play the Good Samaritan? First, our stuntman is in a Manchester United shirt, as the Manchester United supporter approaches. A positive result. Even though it's raining, she helps her fellow fan into the building. Next, we try the Liverpool strip. This Manchester United fan sees the fall, but sprints inside.
Here we go. It's wearing a suit Looks very smart carrying the questionnaire.
Back now in the Manchester shirt, our stuntman falls in front of another United supporter.
Stand on your left. Yeah.
Another positive result. The common bond overcomes any embarrassment or inconvenience. Back to the rival teams again. The Liverpool shirt goes back on. This Manchester United supporter hardly stops long enough to see if he's okay before disappearing into the building.
So what did you do?
I asked if he was okay. I didn't walk over, but I asked if he was okay.
And one of the first things you noticed was he was wearing a Liverpool shirt.
Yeah. I think it was the red colour more than anything that draws me, and then I saw the letter. I thought, ooh. Should have left him.
Our stuntman fell in front of 12 Manchester United fans. He was helped to his feet every time he wore a United shirt. He was left to help himself every time he wore a Liverpool shirt. Dr. Mark Levine's ongoing research into the issue of bystander behaviour backs up the results of our small study.
On the one hand, the positive thing about this research is it demonstrates that when we feel ties to other people, then we're more likely to help them. The negative side of this research potentially suggests that when we see people as out-group members, as others, then we're less likely to go and help them than we might normally be. People have tremendous anxiety over their decisions to intervene and also not to intervene. Nobody easily turns away. Being a bystander doesn't mean doing nothing. If you don't intervene, that's an active decision not to get involved. And it's when people don't get involved, when they see any kind of injustice, that that injustice is allowed to continue.
This bystander behaviour is paralleled in society at large. We can extract one example from a complex situation with the distinctive rival groups of Arab and Jew. In Israel, the Palestinians often live in appalling conditions, not far from impressive housing developments built by Jewish settlers. As the gulf between the two groups widens with restricted human rights for Palestinians, there's ongoing violence. The Palestinians throw stones and sometimes open fire. The Israelis retaliate with live rounds and rockets and the force of law. Until September 1999, Israel effectively legalized torture under the term moderate physical pressure. This enabled the secret police, the Shin Bet, to brutalize suspected Palestinian terrorists using shackling, shaking and isolation. A liberal middle-class nation stood by and tolerated this behaviour for years. Even before the introduction of moderate physical pressure in 1987, Palestinians like Bassem Erjamal were arrested and ill-treated for suspected involvement with the PLO.
I was a student at the Beirut Arab University in Lebanon, and at those days that when the PLO was mainly based in Lebanon, the Israelis used to assume that each or any Palestinian who was studying there, who was passing through there, or whatever, he must be good. He must be good in touch in a way or another with the PLO. So anyone was a suspect.
What were you studying?
I was studying English literature.
And how far were you into your course?
Well, in the first year.
In your first year?
I was 18 years old. I was 18 and a half, something.
And did you have any connection with the PLO?
Those days? Yes, I did.
The Israeli army's use of moderate physical pressure has led to the jailing and torture of some 10,000 Palestinians over the last decade. They have their day in court, but with only the veneer of a fair trial.
There is a lawyer, there is a defense, there is a judge, and somebody translating to you what's going on because you don't know Hebrew. And sometimes they allow to a certain extent, in certain cases, in very, very certain cases, to the priest to be there or to this Red Cross to be there. But there is no justice.
What sentence were you given?
I was given 2 lives, and life, according to Israeli laws of those days, and still I think today, it's 99 years for each life. and 10 years. 2 lives and 10 years, if you add them, 208.
The Palestinians believe they have suffered grave injustice at the hands of the Israelis, who have long suffered anti-Semitism.
It's one of the great ironies in Israel that the Israelis were people who originally came together out of a sense of common shared nationhood and identity because of the Holocaust they've been subjected to, not just in Nazi Germany but in Europe generally, and that they should have come together but have done so at the expense, as it's perceived, of another people. And I think that illustrates the way in which human rights abuses may perpetuate themselves, and one abuse may create another abuse.
The recent escalation of violence in Israel, in which even teenage boys are becoming martyrs, has many causes. But it becomes easier to understand in part when it happens in a country that was prepared to legalize torture effectively, while most of the population stood by.
At this stage, you're probably thinking that you'd never be capable of inflicting human rights abuses on another human being. But you'd be wrong. The ability of ordinary people to do evil acts is a part of our psychology.
This ability to do wrong was seen in a powerful experiment